So, what you are actually telling me is this: while there may be a reality out there, unfortunately we can never see it, because we have eyes, or we can never hear it, because we have ears, or we can never smell it, because we have noses. In other words, you consider sense organs to be an obstacle to perception, rather than the means of perception. You must remember that man is a physical organism who perceives through physical sense organs. These sense organs operate according to specific physiological processes determined by their nature, and this must be true of any sensory apparatus, regardless of the organism involved. Where you have perception, there must be a means of perception. This is what makes perception possible. What you wish to claim, however, is that our means of perception is what invalidates perception. That any act of perceiving, by its very nature, is not really perception but distortion. Aside from many stolen concepts in this line of thought, it strikes me as a blatantly absurd argument.
Even if you are correct, there are other arguments against the senses.
Yes, but they differ only in details, not in essentials. No man can escape the fact that his knowledge is gained through sensory experience. All of his concepts, words, and arguments depend on, and presuppose this fact. Whenever a man opens his mouth to speak, assuming he intends to communicate intelligibly, he is admitting the validity of sensory experience. All of the so-called arguments against the senses would not be possible without the prior assumption that our senses are reliable. The extreme skeptic cannot avoid self-contradiction.
Even if I accept what you say, there is yet another problem, and this one is raised quite frequently by Christians. I'll agree, as will many Christians, that we gain knowledge of reality through our senses, and that this knowledge is accurate. This does not prove, however, that our senses are our only method of perception. You want to limit knowledge to that which is gained through sensory experience, but this seems unjustifiably dogmatic. After all, the Christian claims that he gains knowledge of God, not through the senses, but through direct experience with the divine nature. As an atheist, you will not grant credence to his claim. But why? How do you know that we are limited to perception through our senses?
If the Christian has discovered a new means of perception, I'm perfectly willing to listen to his claim, provided that he is willing to argue for his assertion. Perhaps man possesses perceptual powers of which he is presently unaware. I don't see any evidence suggesting this, but I'll grant the possibility for the sake of argument. My argument with the Christian is that he claims to have experienced God, but he refuses to explain the processes by which he, a physical organism, experienced this supernatural being. I won't limit him arbitrarily to the traditional 5 senses, but I will demand that he present evidence for his new perceptual powers. Has he discovered a new sense? Fine, then let him tell us about it, so we can test it. No Christian has ever succeeded in explaining just how he perceives his mysterious God. He claims to have knowledge of a mysterious, unknowable being, having gained this knowledge in some mysterious, unknowable manner. This is totally unacceptable. If the Christian wishes to be taken seriously, he must explain not only what he claims to know, but how he claims to know it. If he did not acquire his knowledge through the senses, by what means did he acquire it? The burden of explanation lies with him. If he upholds his belief in the absence of rational grounds, then he is the dogmatist, not the atheist. The atheist simply wants to know what the theist believes in, and how he acquired his knowledge. If explanations are not forthcoming, the atheist will remain an atheist.